No guest today, which it's been a long time since we've said that. But it'll just be the two of us on this hump day, this Wednesday on the Media Row podcast with me, Justin Miller, sponsored by Kelly's Little Nipper and Stevens Automotive and Sales. A busy show, though, regardless of no guests, no interviewees. We'll have a lot to get to. We'll talk some Drake basketball news with some recent recruits and signees, a part of the new Henderson era. We'll also get to preview a little bit of the Drake football spring game, which is happening tomorrow night. And a little unique for this show, something out of the ordinary, we'll talk a little NBA playoffs as well. So happy to have you guys on board, continuously liking, subscribing, rating, commenting, all that good stuff. I truly appreciate it. Each and every one of you that do that, it goes a long way. I know some people may be like, all right, I clicked 2 buttons to, give a rating. But it seriously does go a long way, and that means the world. So continue to do that. I appreciate the outpouring support of this show. And anyone that's brand new to the show, welcome. Hope you enjoy it and hope you stick around for more episodes to come. But people that have been sticking with us since the get-go has been Kelly's Little Nipper at 1701 East Grand Avenue. And Kelly's Little Nipper, I like to tell everyone about just, how awesome that place is. Today, we're still going to do that, but continue to listen in on this show because we're going to do it twice. We're doing something a little different and more fun with Kelly's. We're going to do a keyword. And when I say this keyword, and you won't be able to miss it unless you just don't listen to the show, you will be able to get some deals over there at 1701 East Grand Avenue at Kelly's Little Nipper, the historic Kelly's Little Nipper. So first off, the 3 keys of why you should go to Kelly's Little Nipper. I break it down like I break down my sports. The 3 main things you need to know: it's a great place for food, great place for music, but even a better community to just get to know people, bring people that you know to just hang out and have a great time. The best spot is over there at Kelly's Little Nipper. And also, you can get your day started over at Kelly's. Sure, is it a bar? Yeah, absolutely. It's the best one in town. But you can go over there and get your day started as they serve breakfast from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. So go over there, get your day started. Maybe tune in to the Media Row podcast while you're at it. And now time for the moment for those who have stuck around, even in this quick early segment. Time for the keyword. And if you go to Kelly's Little Nipper and you say this keyword and you say you heard it on the Media Row podcast, you will get free cheese balls, and their cheese balls are amazing. So the keyword is Hendo, in respect of Coach Henderson, the brand new Drake men's basketball coach. Go over there to 1701 East Grand Avenue in Des Moines, say Hendo, and say you heard it on the Media Row podcast, and get yourself some delicious and free cheese balls, courtesy of Kelly's Little Nipper. And when you go there, make sure to tell them that you heard it on Media Row. So a busy show today. Let's get into it. Starting off with the Drake men's basketball news, and we heard it a few days ago. Some names that, we had previewed and discussed earlier when Coach Henderson arrived in Des Moines, of possible players that he should go out and get, and some guys that had already verbally said they were coming to Drake, but now have officially signed on. You had Braden Applehans from New Mexico that we talked about a few weeks ago, but a name that we previewed but haven't been able to really give a deep dive on, and he officially signed, is Owen Larson, the newest name in addition to the transfers here over at Drake University. He's an Iowa guy from Estherville, Iowa. He set 12 high school records in his 4 years. He's ELC's all-time leading scorer and continued to have that success as a true freshman playing for Coach Henderson over at South Dakota State. He was a guy when we were talking about players that Henderson should go after, and really the first kind of segment we did talking about Henderson and this new era for the Drake Bulldogs was who are the players that Henderson already has a connection to or maybe has Iowa ties that can make the easy transition over to Des Moines. And Owen Larson, the freshman guard, was one of the first names because, one, young, so you get him for what you would hope for, 2 more years, as now he's a sophomore. But in his freshman year with South Dakota State, he started all 29 games. He scored 9.5 points per game. 12 games during the year, he scored 10 plus, averaged 4 rebounds, 3 assists, had a 3-to-1 turnover assist ratio. And at his time there in his first year, shot over 40% from the field, 39% from beyond the arc, and that includes an 84% clip from the charity stripe. And if you're someone who's been listening to the show, or you're one of my buddies that I played basketball with in high school, I'm someone who I preach free throws. I want guys that can be confident at the free throw line, because how many times do we hear it in March and in the games that matter? Free throws matter. So it's great to see him at that 84% mark. And what I like about him as a true freshman, he never got worried or nervous, or you could see him overthinking anything. He just played his game. And I think Henderson was a huge part of why he was so comfortable and why he was able to make this transition so easily. But also it's a credit to just him as a player and a mentally strong player as well, because he had to go up against some tough competition. I know people listening may be like, South Dakota State, it's probably the same way people view Drake at times of, come on, they're a mid-major team. Who are they playing? Well, he had to go up against an NCAA tournament team fairly early in number 5 Alabama, and nothing changed in his statistics. He scored 9 points in that game, had 4 rebounds, had 3 steals, and 3 assists. He continued to play at his same level. He continued to stay calm, composed, collected, whatever you want to call it. That is who Drake is getting in Owen Larson, and I cannot be more excited about it. You get a strong guard. You're bringing in some other names that we will get to here shortly that I think he'll be able to help out with. I am very excited about this signing of Owen Larson, and definitely we'll talk about him and more of these signees kind of in the future. I plan to get Alyssa Hurdle from the Des Moines Register, who covers the Drake men's basketball team. She keeps in touch with all of this as well, so get her points of view, as well as Michael Admire. I still just want to talk to Michael about his career, as well as someone who I look up to, but do want to get his outlook on just what Coach Henderson has been able to do in this short amount of time. I think Henderson talked about, middle of May to the, early parts of June is kind of where his deadline was of really getting this team set together. He wasn't going to rush it, but this is kind of around the time where it's starting to build up. This team is no longer, hey, we got 5 guys. It's, okay, now we're building certain positions. Now you're grabbing depth. Now you're going out and looking for certain things that you need. You're not just trying to get bodies. You're trying to get players. And so I'm really excited to see what Henderson's able to do now that he has a full coaching staff on board as well. I mean, people just have to remember Henderson is taking over a completely wiped Drake squad. I mean, it's the same thing Ben McCollum had to do a year ago. And now I think people are just using a microscope because they saw how successful Ben McCollum was. But even with that microscope, I don't think Coach Henderson is phased whatsoever. We brought that up countless times of just how he's been able to prove that he's the right guy for this position. Now, he still has a tremendous amount of work to be done. He's been saying the right things. I like him personally. Him coming on the show was awesome. But I think for fans out there and for people like me and the media really analyzing this team, Now you're working on grabbing a roster. How are these guys going to perform when it's November, December, and then when you get into conference play? But Owen Larson, I think, is a great addition. He knows Coach Henderson. He's an Iowa guy. This, I think, is just an easy transition and was an easy grab for Coach Henderson. We brought up how Braden Applehans is another name that signed a few days ago. Some other verbal commits, one that I'm really excited about, just not because he brings this monstrous size back to Drake that we've missed, but just he has amazing potential as an athlete, is Isaiah Carr. So Carr comes from Denver University. He will be a senior this fall, and he's 7 feet tall. I mean, right there, that makes you excited as a mid-major. Being able to get someone with that size, and especially as a Drake fan, I'm really excited about that because Drake hasn't seen size all of last year. I mean, that was their biggest concern. And while Texas Tech was the better team, and I think still would have won that game if Drake even had a little more of a size, differential, but it didn't help that Drake's tallest player was only 6'8" or 6'9". So yeah, I am excited for Drake to bring in a rim protector, and that's what they're getting in Isaiah Carr, the 7-foot senior from Denver University. I do want to go through some of his stats for you, but first things first, he is coming off of an injury. Last season, only played 12 games with Denver before suffering an upper body injury, but in that time, averaged 6 points per game, 4 rebounds per game, and in the total of 12 games, had 16 blocked shots. Now, you look at his sophomore year, and that's where you were seeing the major numbers that he was putting up defensively. He played in all 34 games, so he was healthy the whole season of his sophomore year, and then became the 7th player to record 60 block shots in a single season for Denver, and that put him up in the ranks that season in all of Division I. He was the 44th player in terms of block shots, in total block shots in Division I, and 48th in the country in block shots per game. So yes, I think Bulldog fans should be really, really excited about how they're getting not just a 7-foot athletic center, but someone who truly takes a passion in guarding the basket and really understands his role of, does he need to put up 20 points per game? No. But can he really become a staple defensively for Coach Henderson? Absolutely. So I cannot be more eager to see what roles Henderson puts him in offensively, but also how much they utilize him defensively. Because I think now that opens up for guards who you want to get out and run. They can be more aggressive up front in that front court to be able to try to get steals, because if you get burned, you got your 7-foot center right there waiting to send it back to the third row. So I think that allows the guards like Owen Larson to be more aggressive up front early on. And then if he does get a block, if he does get a rebound steal, you have guards sprinting down the lanes, being able for outlook passes, because I know Henderson in his opening day press conference discussed how he wants this team to look. And does every team want to be balanced? Yeah. But he does like the idea of having a team that gets out, controls the pace, and gets out and runs. So I think when you have a rim protector like an Isaiah Carr, and when you grab a guard like Owen Larson, you're really setting yourself up for some longevity and some great success come this fall and winter for the Drake Bulldogs. So I think bringing size back is a huge deal, and can't wait to cover this team now. And it's funny because, during basketball season, you have those moments where you're like, man, I'm starting to get the football itch. Or like, I know it was the week of the national title game, I was texting buddies like, oh, I'm starting to get the baseball itch. And now we're not even to May yet, And I'm sitting here, I'm like, man, hearing these names, seeing what Coach Henderson's doing on the offseason is really getting me excited for the fall and winter of this Drake men's basketball team. So we will have some football coverage coming up before we move on to our NBA discussion. I do want to put out there that tomorrow at 6 o'clock, go watch the spring football game. Joe Woodley, first year at Drake University after a tremendous successful run with Grandview University, where the guy never lost a regular season game. Like, I can even do that if I was playing Madden on the easiest level. So try to get out there at 6 o'clock on the Drake football field. Spring game here at 6 o'clock. I will be there. So if you're not able to go, make sure to tune in on Media Row at Media Row Pod on Twitter. We'll have coach player interviews and just kind of our thoughts throughout the night of watching the spring game. As football season, you'll blink and it'll be right there with us here around the corner. So wanted to make sure you guys knew about that if you'd missed it, so that you are prepared to set up your Thursday night, clear the calendar, and go watch some fun football and get yourself ready for August and September to roll around and really start cheering on Joe Woodley and his squad. Before we finish up today's show, though, I do want to give a shout out to Stevens Automotive and Sales over there at 5320 Northwest Beaver Drive. I mean, I gave the 3 keys for Kelly's Little Nipper. The 3 keys for Stevens Automotive is simple. You have a car issue, boom, go to Stevens Automotive. Maybe you just need a quick little oil change, go to Stevens Automotive. Oh, maybe you had a fender bender and you don't know where to go. Stevens has been able to help me, my family members, of finding the right places for us. So they're willing to help people find great people because they are great people. And that's what you'll be working with when you go to Stevens Automotive and Sales. So go there for any car issues. If you need oil changes, if you're trying to buy a car, go to Stevens Automotive. My whole family, we had a whole lot of Stevens Automotive cars in my mom's house growing up. My brother lives in Wisconsin and talks about just how lucky we were growing up and being able to have such a trustworthy place like Stevens. And that's what you'll be getting at when you go there. So 5320 Northwest Beaver Drive, Stevens Automotive and Sales. When you go there, be sure to tell them that Media Row sent you. To finish up today, we're going to be a little unique, and we are going to talk about the NBA playoffs. And again, I'm not a guy I haven't watched every game, but I have been paying attention because I think the playoffs in really any sport captivate me. All differently too. Love the NFL playoffs. Of course, I'm a diehard football guy. Baseball, it's just a different atmosphere. You get emotion like you don't see in the 1,000 other games you see in the summer. So that's the way it captivates me. Hockey, I barely pay attention to it in the regular season. Playoffs come around and you get the emotion like you do at a football game, the physicality that you get at a football game, but then you get the crowd reactions and the atmospheres like you do in the baseball season. So it's kind of the mix of both worlds. NBA has kind of fallen off for me in terms of playoffs just because I don't pay attention to it as much in the regular season. I think the product on the court has kind of fallen off for me, but it's slowly getting turned back around. And a team that's been doing it for me is the Minnesota Timberwolves. And that's when I put out the question, are the Minnesota Timberwolves the easiest team to cheer for in the NBA playoffs? I mean, it's incredible what the Cleveland Cavaliers are doing after kind of all the chaos they've been through the past few years. But Minnesota, I'm not a Timberwolves fan. If I'm going to cheer for a team, it's the Spurs. But they are fun to watch. So number one, why the Timberwolves are the easiest team to cheer on, in my opinion, I think just offensively, the high flying offense that they have, fourth most points in the playoffs a game, with 108.5 points per game, leads you drawn to their main star in Anthony Edwards, who put up an all-time playoff performance in Game 4 the other night against the Lakers, where he put up 43 points, leading the Timberwolves back from 12 points down to win that game and take a 3-1 series lead. But the whole team, it's not just Edwards. The whole team is fun. You get Naz Reid coming off the bench, who I always liked even at LSU. He put up 12 points off the bench on Game 4 and had a huge three that was kind of the clutch shot of the night, despite all the action that Edwards was getting. You have Julius Randle putting up 25 points. You have Jaden McDaniels, who's fun to watch, putting up 16 points. There's so many different players on this team that you can cheer for. Conley may not be the offensive scorer that we are used to seeing him, but you have a veteran presence there. And Gobert, again, a defensive presence. So I think offensively, just all around, the roster up and down is super easy to cheer for and a really fun team to watch. 2, it doesn't hurt that they're playing the Lakers. And it doesn't hurt that if they win, there's a strong chance they play the Golden State Warriors. But the Lakers, you get LeBron. I don't think Luka's as polarizing, but you have LeBron and you have the organization that are very polarizing. I mean, LeBron, I'm one of those guys, I respect what he does, think he's one of the greatest to ever do it. And I get tired with the MJ-LeBron debates. MJ's better. But you have polarizing organization, as in the Lakers, because I don't think I've ever talked to anyone that goes, yeah, they're okay. I feel like they're the Yankees, they're the Dodgers, they're the Patriots. You either love them or you hate them. And so that helps the Timberwolves in terms of cheering on, definitely, tremendously, for the Timberwolves. But 3, and this one may be the biggest reason why I think I've been drawn to Minnesota. It's the way they're playing defense against this team, against the Lakers. They're frustrating LeBron and everyone. I mean, Luka is arguing with the refs, asking for travels when there's no travel. He heard a blown whistle when there's no blown whistle. They're getting in their heads, and they have LeBron. I mean, he's, peeking through his eye to see, if he can get a ref call. That adds to their polarizing factor that we were talking about. But I just love how they're really frustrating and not afraid of this Lakers team, because it reminds me of those golden series against the Heat and the Pacers, where you had Lance Stevenson blowing in the ear of LeBron in 2013 and 14. And now you have Edwards, who's like shoving LeBron as he's trying to walk up the court. Like, he's got a different mentality, which I love to see because we don't see it that often anymore. And I put the ball in your court. Are the Timberwolves the easiest team to root for in the playoffs? And my answer is yes. Give me Minnesota. And I think they win tonight as well at 9 o'clock. Going on the road, though, will always be tough in the playoffs. But give me Edwards and the Timberwolves taking down King James and Luka and that entire Lakers squad. So, and again, maybe he's like Thanos and Edwards is just collecting his stones. I mean, he took down LeBron. Now does he take down Steph? But that will do it for our show here today on the Media Row podcast with me, Justin Miller. Friday, busy show. We're back to bringing guests on the show. We have Kyle Kemp, the former Iowa State quarterback, former Iowa State quarterbacks coach, and now the offensive coordinator for Joe Woodley's Drake Bulldogs squad, coming on the show to really talk about his career, his move now to Des Moines and Drake, and just what he brings to this Bulldogs football team. And I can't wait to talk with Kyle. Been a huge fan of just his attitude with everything, and, going from someone that was at a JUCO to then beating Oklahoma to now an offensive coordinator at Drake, and his career just continues to go up. So really, really happy to have him on the show. Be sure to check that out on Friday. And then as well, tomorrow night, 6 o'clock, Drake football spring game. Be sure, if you're not there at the stadium at 6, to follow along at Media Row Pod on Twitter for coaches' interviews, player interviews, and just thoughts throughout the night. Happy to have you guys along here. Thank you again so much. Comment, rate, subscribe. Continue to keep doing that. Appreciate it. And be sure to go to Kelly's Little Nipper and say Hendo to get your free cheese balls. There's your keyword for like the 4th time now. And be sure to go to Stevens Automotive and Sales for any of your car needs. They are great people. So happy to have them on board along this Media Row team. We will see you guys Friday with Kyle Kemp on the Media Row podcast with me, Justin Miller.